man, that's just the hardest debut you could have. And that's one thing about these Fury shows, the quality of the amateurs, of the debuting pros, of the seasoned pros, it's also high. There's just no more easy fights.
And that fight was back at Fury Fighting Championship 46 back in May of this year. This is going to be Andrew Slater's second fight of 2021, and I think that's good. You know, there's a couple of months in between his last fight to where, you know, bounce back, see what worked for him in that last fight, see what didn't, come back, and then fresh for this one. Should be a different fighter for this fight against Kaleo Mehula. Been fighting since 2017. There we see the final touches. Andrew Slater, ready for action.
Please welcome to the red corner, Kaleo Mehula.
And making his Fury Fighting Championship debut, the Hawaiian fighter, Kaleo Mehula. Alex Morano, what do you know about Kaleo Mehula?
Yeah, you know, Kaleo's solid. He was 3-0 as an amateur. This is his pro debut. And I think this is a good matchup for both of these guys. You know, no easy fights on either end, but there's definitely some stiff competition at featherweight here on the Fury roster. And we're in for a really competitive opening bout. I really like that Fury, you know, in Texas has all professional fights. There's no pro-am, so we're getting right to the high-level business.
And we see the final touches for Kaleo coming into this fight after a very successful amateur career at 3-0. And there we see the tail to tape. Two young studs at 25 years of age coming in at the featherweight weight limit. Height about an inch difference, advantage for Kaleo. 72 reach advantage for Kaleo. Should be an explosive opening contest to Fury Fighting Championship 52. There we see experienced referee Joe Solis with the final touches.
I really like this guy, Kaleo Mehula, as a prospect. Really heavy, quick hands.
Kaleo
This guy's got a
Mehula,
bright future.
ready for action.
Ladies and gentlemen, your opening contest brought to you by Aces Performance Exhaust is scheduled for 3 rounds in the Fury FC Featherweight Division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. This freestyle fighter stands 5 feet, 9 inches tall and weighed in at 145.8 pounds. Fighting out of Tucson, Arizona. Today, he seeks his first professional victory. This is Andrew Slater. And introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner. This mixed martial artist stands 5 feet, 9 inches tall and weighed in officially at 145.6 pounds. Fighting out of Honolulu, Hawaii, he holds a perfect professional record of 3 victories, no defeats. This is Kaleo Mehula. Your referee in charge of the action, Jeff Rexroad.
All right, here we go. This should be an explosive featherweight bout. Andrew Slater, Kaleo Mehula. And this fight is officially underway.
Kaleo is definitely the bigger of the two guys. Man, he's got some really impressive tattoo work as he lands a low kick.
Oh.
Yeah, and a little correction there from announcer Wayne Leggett. Those 3 fights are amateur fights. This is actually Kaleo's pro debut.
Both fighters looking for their first mixed martial arts victory as a pro.
Both guys with a heavy kicking arsenal early as well.
Good check there by Slater.
You know, both guys happy to actually switch stances too. Slater especially, he's not spent much time in either stance, been switching almost every single exchange.
Yeah, and really
Nice there from Kaleo, good movement. And one thing I noticed right off the bat is I see the relaxedness of Kaleo out there. Look at that combination right there. Just putting it together.
Yeah, he looks like a seasoned professional out there. He looks like he's been doing this forever.
Check hook narrowly missed there.
Yeah, Kaleo's sliding out right after he lands almost every time. Really slick movement.
Saw a lot of offense thus far from Kaleo. Curious if Andrew Slater is just trying to bait him in for a big counter.
You know, Kaleo's smooth, but he is keeping his hands low. That can naturally be very risky.
Yeah, he's got to be careful with that as he gets in there with a more seasoned veteran. That may come back to bite him a little bit. May want to just put those hands up and get the job done.
Slater looking to clinch up.
This is an all-pro card here at Fury FC 52. So this is a transition for some of these guys to the 5-minute rounds.
Yeah, both guys being very measured and patient. Kaleo landing a decent right hand there on the exit. It seems like Slater almost prefers to be a southpaw, but again, he keeps switching. And, you know, when you're fighting, you're throwing out these jabs. You're doing a lot of like experiments to get some data back to catch the reaction and the range and the timing of your opponent. And when you keep switching your stance, you keep having to recalibrate those experiments and that data. I was always a big proponent of just sticking to one stance initially.
I'd have to agree with you, Alex. I have a little bit mixed feelings on the switch stance fighters. There's typically one stance that they favor more than others and can be exposed and put themselves at risk.
Yeah, and maybe they're trying to confuse that puzzle for their opponent a little bit.
I'll tell you, Kaleo has touched Slater's body with some hard shots already.
You can typically figure out which is their favorite stance. When they switch stance and you put some pressure on them, they'll quickly go back to whichever their favorite stance is. And so,
yeah, Slater seems to prefer to be a southpaw.
good side kick there.
Kaleo's kicking both legs. He's touching his body. He's touching his face. He's looking for some long-term damage output.
It's been an all-striking battle between these two featherweights. I've not seen one takedown attempt yet. Oh! Both fighters exchanging kicks.
Yeah, I get the feeling eventually Andrew Slater wants to take this to the ground. He's not going to want to take many more of those leg kicks and then those body punches.
You know, and you can see Kaleo's going that lead hook to the liver into that rear low kick. It's a really cool kind of change of directions and sides when you're striking. You know, Kaleo prefers to be orthodox, Slater prefers to be southpaw, and Slater's throwing these high kicks, and with Kaleo's hands being low, could be a recipe for a high kick.
Kaleo backing Slater up now. Got his attention there with a little bit of a check hook there. Overhand right.
Kaleo landed his best shot, but he landed right into a front headlock here from Slater.
Good position here, just under a minute yet. Can Slater make something with this? Oh, already in was it anaconda position, Alex?
Yeah, it's an anaconda choke. Anytime the choking lock is under the armpit, it's anaconda, and if it's in front of the neck and shoulder, it's a darce. He elected to use that front headlock to threaten a back take. It looks like he's going to get it.
Yeah, very nice transition to the back there. Kaleo in a little bit of trouble here.
Slater now securing the figure 4, but Kaleo trying to bend that leg to open it up a bit. 22 seconds. Does he have enough time to finish the choke?
And that body triangle's deep. Even though that choke's over the chin, it's still very uncomfortable.
Yeah, not a favorable place to be for Kaleo Mahula.
You know what?
Does not want somebody on your back like this.
No, and this was a close round, and I'd even say Kaleo was winning the better of the striking exchanges, but with Slater finishing on the back for, 45 seconds, I think he stole that round.
Yeah, I think Andrew Slater definitely stole that round.
Put a stamp on the control there as we wrap up the first round of this featherweight pro matchup. Let's take a look at some of the highlights that we saw. And the story of this fight, the striking battle between these two, neither one could really establish full control. As you said, Alex, Kaleo was landing some good stuff early before Slater was able to slap on that anaconda attempt.
Yeah, you know, from Slater's southpaw stance, he landed that lead right hook maybe 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, both fighters extremely relaxed in this fight. They don't look like two guys that are just turned pro.
Oh, yeah, they look like they know their styles and their comfortability very well.
Man, these guys are moving so fast. I had to see the replay to see that good body shot that Kaleo had landed. And there's how we see how the round ended. with the grappling exchange as we are about to start round number 2. And Slater opts to start off with the conventional stance.
Yeah, again, if I was Andrew Slater, I would look for my first opportunity to get this fight to the ground.
Good check hook there from Slater.
Ooh, that was a really good low kick check right there. Both these guys are going to have some beat up feet tomorrow.
Yeah, they've been throwing a lot of kicks.
Even Kaleo, he threw that kick and then stopped and grabbed his shin after that check. Another big right hook over the top there from Kaleo. He's had success with that right hook over the top.
Kaleo definitely looks the longer of the two fighters, trying to take advantage of that reach advantage that he does have.
Spinning hook hit attempt there from Kaleo.
So, saw Kaleo try to work a setup into a body shot.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. Was what changed levels to do a body shot.
You know what? Kaleo was throwing that punch, and I think, yeah, look at that. It was Slater's knee that kind of redirected it right into his cup.
Take a look right.
Not an intentional blow at all. Just a little ricochet.
Redirected right into his own cup. And looked like the cup did its job. Back at it again. Round 2 of this featherweight matchup between two highly skilled young up-and-comers.
Guys, I'll bet we do not see Kaleo throw that low rear kick again. Oh, big right hand there, straight down the pipe.
Kaleo now spinning back elbow. Just barely didn't quite get what he was looking for. Oh, man, stiff jab there from Kaleo. Right down the pipe.
It's Kaleo's straight shots that are meeting their mark the best.
You know, Kaleo's got a stance. He's looking to set up some type of spinning attack.
Here, these shots are landing hard.
Glad Kaleo is young in his career, trying to establish a body attack game. You don't see too many body punches in MMA these days.
That was a really well-timed shot there from Slater. Yeah. We're seeing some good takedown defense here from Kaleo.
Oh, needs to be
Get
careful.
that right side underhook. He needs to get his right arm around Slater's body. He's selecting the hand fight.
Slater at an awkward angle. Not quite on the back, not a little bit on the side, but still trying to establish that one hook. But the cage is preventing him from getting that full control. Kaleo playing the game pretty good. He's still not in a good spot.
No, and you see Slater's actually working a wrist ride. If you see Slater's left hand, it's grabbing Kaleo's left arm. And that's a really tough grip to break. And man, it almost acts as a body lock, but with only one hand because the connection point is on your opponent's arm.
We call that the one-on-one grip in wrestling. Oh my goodness, nice transition there from Slater. That was impressive.
Yeah, you can see Slater, he's a good grappler. He prefers these back takes. You know, in 2 out of 2 grappling exchanges, he found his way to the back pretty easily.
Got a lot of time to work, and you see him making Kaleo pay with those hammer fist shots.
Yeah, and you know, it's and Slater was actually getting hit worse than in the first round, but again, about midway through, finds this back take, and is really winning the round in a pretty dominant fashion, taking no damage. And you can see he's got like a modified set of hooks in for this back take. He's got his feet crossed, one leg a little bit deeper. It's almost like what a single-legged back take would look like, but he's got, you know, both hooks in.
And interesting enough, I mean, this is Kaleo's first 5-minute round fight. If this had been a 3-minute round amateur matchup, I mean, he had arguably won the first 2 rounds if it had stopped at 3 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is a very, you know, very good experience for him to take back these 5-minute rounds, not let somebody steal it from you in those last 2 minutes with these grappling exchanges.
And see Kaleo just trying to beat this back take with movement and with activity. He's not really fundamentally, going the way you'd want to get out of this back take.
Yeah, and one thing Slater's doing well is that he's actually not going for the more conventional seatbelt grip. He's sticking with the body lock. He's keeping both hands under Kaleo's arms, and I'll tell you, that makes it very difficult to escape this position. He finally just shot an arm over to choke, and naturally attacking the neck.
Just under 10 seconds. 2 rounds in the books between these two featherweights.
You know what? I would actually still say Kaleo wins that round. Subjectively, I know he got his back taken, but I think Kaleo came closer to finishing with his punches than Slater did on the back. But that's very subjective. That's relative to each judge. We're going into a really competitive third round. This is an excellent opening fight.
I'd have to agree with you as far as the strikes that Kaleo and offense that he put on. However, I would give that one to Andrew Slater. I just think that back take position is hard to argue.
Yeah, and again, I wouldn't even disagree with that as much. That was a really dominant position. He held it for as long as he could have and finished the round on the back, attacking chokes and landing some strikes.
Yeah, both fighters are going to be going to this third round assuming they have 1 round apiece, and it's going to take this third round to win it. So I expect both these guys to go out in round 3.
Yeah, and then if you're Kaleo's corner, you're telling him to finish. You're telling him to defend those takedowns and get a finish because it's hard. Both fighters can't be confident they've won either round.
Hey, leave it all in the cage, as the old saying goes.
That's right.
Third and final round.
And both fighters look extremely fresh coming out in the third round. It doesn't look like one's more tired than the other. I like to look at body language between the rounds to see if maybe one fighter looks more gassed than the other. And both these guys looked ready to come out in the third round.
Yeah, they seem as fresh as they did in the first. One thing, Slater, for the amount of shots he's taking, he's actually wearing these shots, the kicks, the punches very, very well.
Oh, slapped him in the face with that foot. Not much damage, but just put it there. Trying to leap in with that lead hook.
Yeah, it looks like Andrew Slater is just standing, just throwing those punches from right outside the pocket. Because they would land, because, Kaleo's hands are not in the correct position a lot of the times, and those punches would land if he would go another 4 inches into the pocket.
Yeah, stepping into the fire. It's on every game plan. It's for every strike, but it's hard to do. It's scary in a fight.
It's scary because that guy's not just standing there.
Yeah, very little room for mistakes, especially with those little 4-ounce gloves, man.
Yeah, Slater just landed a really good rear side kick to Kaleo's body. And when you're a southpaw, your liver's on the front side, so like a straight right hand would hurt it if you're fighting an orthodox fighter. But southpaws can open side kick the body of a right-handed fighter, and that's where their liver sits. So it's kind of a trade-off of where that organ can get affected.
Yeah, me being a southpaw fighter myself, I took that straight shot, that straight kick right to the liver a few times.
Yeah, it's funny, Michael. I actually didn't know you were southpaw. So is Todd. I fancy myself an orthodox fighter, so oddly enough, I'm in the minority here.
Kaleo was able to shake off that single leg attempt. Speaking of southpaws, Alex Morano came from a whole gym of southpaws at one point.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did some research on the statistics. 1 in 10 people are left-handed, but 1 in 4 fighters are left-handed. A lot of wrestlers, stand with their dominant leg forward, so they naturally just fight southpaw to carry over from the wrestling stance.
Yeah, as recently as like 20 years ago, to see like a southpaw fighter in a high-level fight would be very unusual. But now it's just this commonplace, and we see that in almost every other fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Southpaw versus conventional matchup.
And I'm one of those guys that's right-handed but fights southpaw.
Interesting. Yeah, I've met many like you. I can actually fight both stances myself, but when I compete, I only go orthodox.
Here we have Andrew Slater. Oh my goodness, there.
Kaleo found a good placement for that straight right, but Slater wears it and eats it well.
Shaking it off and keeping moving forward. 2 minutes left. This is typically where Andrew pushes for that grappling exchange. Curious if that was part of his strategy, was just to feel out the first 3 minutes with the striking, and then, depending on how successful he was, to try to finish off with the dominant grappling position.
Yeah, perhaps it was no coincidence. I have a good grappler teammate of mine, and he prefers to strike for the first half and almost always looks to grapple for the second half so he can steal some rounds if he is behind. And that's happened in both rounds here from Slater.
If you were Kaleo Mahula's coach, Alex, what would you be telling him right now with 1:30 to go?
You know what? Maybe to be a little more active with the right hand, but I mean, he's staying active. He's landing shots. Slater just wears them as well as anyone can.
Can he afford to let this go to the decision?
That's leaving it to chance, most certainly, but I just don't know how much more he can do. His output's good, his accuracy's good, his power's great. He's pressuring,
Sometimes you do all the right things, but you get somebody in there that they also do the right things. It's a matter of where the chips fall.
A good jab there.
Yeah, Slater might have got occupied. He just looked up at the clock.
Thus far, this has been Kaleo's best round. Landed the more damaging shots. Snapped Andrew Slater's head back at least 2 times in this round alone.
Yeah, I remember Slater's debut. I remember Justice Torres put a pace in that fight, and Slater was happy to oblige, but it did fatigue him a bit. And man, it seems like his cardio is in much better sorts for this fight.
Nice counter attempt there by Kaleo. Unfortunately, wasn't able to score with it.
We got Kaleo's corner sitting right next to us, and he's calling for all the right things. He's having him pressure, he's having him land, and then try to land a follow-up shot kind of in the opposite spot.
Can the Hawaiian fighter land the big shot? Pressing forward, short time left. And Andrew Slater and Kaleo Mahula go the distance. We will see which one of these featherweight fighters will earn their first professional victory. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of the 3rd round. I really like that body hook into the leg kick combination that Kaleo would be working.
Yeah, that's a very Dutch kickboxing style of attack. Even he was leading with elbows, throwing spinning elbows. And I'll tell you, he met his mark. Kaleo did with a lot of these shots, but Slater just wore him well. He's like the Terminator.
Yeah, for 2 fighters with just less than 1 professional fight under their belt, I mean, they both have a bright future. I'm sure we're going to see both of these guys in future Fury Fighting Championships, especially with the variety of offense that they were displaying.
And say Slater was to lose, which I don't know. I think he actually may have won the first 2 rounds, but he would, theoretically be 0-2, and that's a tough fight against the potentially 0-2 guy. I do think he did enough to win the first round, and likely, like you were saying, top the second. But I could see this being a split. I mean, this one's pretty hard to call. Really fun first fight of the night.
It's going to be interesting. I score it for Slater 2-1. But we're going to see what the official decision is here shortly.
I know in Vegas they value damage a lot, but here in Texas there's still a grappling heavy, judging criteria. I wouldn't be surprised to see that.
I'd agree with you there, Alex. Yeah, they're very volume heavy and grappling heavy. As we see with Wayne with the final decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of combat, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. The scores are 29-28, 30-27, and 29-28. Your winner by unanimous decision, Kaleo Mahula!
Wow! Big victory for Kaleo Mahula. Remains undefeated in his mixed martial arts career. 1-0 as a pro. Has a bright future, that young man. I'm sure we're going to see him again in future Fury Fighting Championships.
Yeah, interesting score with the 30-27. That means they gave him the first 2 rounds, which I don't quite agree with myself. But he did do the damage in the fight. Didn't really get close to getting finished, so that's not an outrageous decision. I think it could have gone either way. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Please welcome to the blue corner, Josh Thong.
And here we have, making his way to the cage, 4-time Fury Fighting Championship veteran, Joshua Thang, making his pro debut here tonight. Comes in with a lot of momentum, 4-0 as an amateur. His last fight was a win over Antonio Figueiredo.
Yeah, this guy's got 2 finishes, 2 decisions. Very, very durable, very slick jiu-jitsu, good ground and pound, great cardio. He's got pretty good power for a flyweight too. This guy's the real deal.
Yeah, he's got a great chin too. I was actually sitting cage side for his most recent amateur fight, which was for the belt, of which he won a decision against a very competitive opponent. And man, he's big for the weight class. He's got a chin, he's got power. And his last fight went 5 rounds of 3 minutes, which is 15 minutes of fight time. You know, so if this fight does go the distance, that's 15 minutes of pro fight time. He's very used to that time in the cage. And man, his opponent is a fun guy to watch too. This is my sleeper fight of the night for the prelims.
Joshua Pong, ready for action.
Please welcome to the red corner, Tonatu Esquivel.
And making his way to the cage, 2-time Fury Fighting Championship vet, Tony Esquivel. Michael Alexander, tell me what you have on this fighter.
Making his pro debut also, has 2 amateur fights, has 1 submission and 1 TKO. This guy's a really tall, lanky, really hard to deal with.
And let me tell you something. Sorry to interrupt you there, Michael, but this is a fight between 2 very young fighters. Alex Morano, you've been fighting since you were a young teenager. This young man is fighting at 18 years old. What advice could you give to a young upstart like an 18-year-old fighter?
You know what, if you have the skill set to get into that age, then by all means do it. And I'll tell you, appearances can be deceiving. I watched Tonatua's last amateur fight. I saw he was young. He had some like long, flowing blonde hair. And again, I don't know what I was gonna expect. And then he was fighting a short, muscular guy, and I just expected Tonatua to be honest, steamrolled, and I was as wrong as I could have been. His stance is wild. His strikes are powerful. He is as game as they come. I'll be honest, I was waiting to see him fight again. I know he took this one a little shorter notice on this fight card, and I was so happy to not only see him fight again, but as a professional. This is going to be a fun one.
As you said, could be our sleeper. There we see the final touches on Tony Esquivel.
I'll tell you, and I remember his name because Tonatua is a very unique name. And I'll tell you, I like his mohawk look. It makes him a little more intimidating.
And he is ready for action.
Ladies and gentlemen, your next match, brought to you by Beauty Marks, is scheduled for 3 rounds in the Fury FC Flyweight division. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner. This kickboxer stands 5 feet, 5 inches tall and weighed in at 124 pounds even. Fighting out of Houston, Texas, today he makes his professional debut. This is Josh, the Fearless Thong. And introducing his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner. This mixed martial artist stands 5 feet, 8 inches tall and weighed in at 125.4 pounds. Also fighting out of Houston, Texas, he holds a professional record of 2 victories. No defeats. This is Tonatu Esquivel. Your referee in charge of the action, the Professor Joe Solis.
Joshua Pong, T. Esquivel. This fight is officially underway. Don't blink, ladies and gentlemen. These guys move fast.
You'll see Tonatu is quick. He'll switch his stances and he'll throw a bunch of kicks. And I thought he was going to gas. He did not gas in his last fight. Granted, it finished in the first round, but the pace was high and it stayed high.
To be 18 again.
And again, this is one of those fights where, fighting with your hands down works until it doesn't, and that's a very dangerous. And I expected Josh would actually wrestle a lot in this fight to just neutralize the unpredictability and power of Tonatu Esquivel. And sure enough, he shoots early, he scores a finish.
Good transition there from Thong. Looking for those elbows to the thigh. Those things really get your attention. And here we get a scramble by Esquivel.
Beautiful scramble to get back to his feet by Esquivel.
Esquivel needs to look for underhooks and get his hips out and not punch from there. That was the right decision.
Nice job from Esquivel, bringing it back to the center.
I'll tell you, Josh is scrappy. He's got a chin and he has some power. I would not stick my chin out there in front of him. But you can tell that's Tonatu's style. Bait guys in and then maybe counter, exit out and throw a big kick.
Looking for that tie clinch. Doing that dirty boxing. Man, looking very beyond his years as an 18-year-old fighter.
That round kick landed good, and Thong hits him with some big uppercuts. visibly staggering Tanatua.
Yeah, Esquivel may still be hurt a little bit. You can see it in his eyes just a little bit. That connected pretty hard.
Long now with the double, Esquivel with the double underhooks.
Hitting some shoulder strikes. He's offense everywhere. Toe stomp action.
Very diverse fighter this young Esquivel is.
The only thing that I think plays against perhaps Esquivel's age and experience is the lack of experience. And then again, his pacing is high, and I just don't know if this can be, withheld for 15 minutes.
Coming into this fight, 2-0 as an amateur, both stoppage wins.
Big right hook there from Tanatua. These kicks, they do take a lot of steam.
That was a quick first 3 minutes of this matchup. Been a lot of action.
Tanatua did land a really good low kick, and you can see Josh Thong has switched his stance since. Tanatua with a standing head and arm choke attempt. He doesn't quite have control.
Wow, interesting lockup there.
He's kind of got a gift wrap while he's standing and trying that head and arm choke. Very interesting.
Oh, standing head and arm, as you were saying.
And it's in. Matt Riddle actually, back in the UFC maybe 14 years ago, 13 years ago, was able to hit a finish with a standing head and arm choke. It's the only one I've ever seen.
But the scrappy Thong able to slip his way out.
A big body kick caught, big return from Thong, and then you see Esquivel throwing a cartwheel kick to try to counter.
A cartwheel kick as he was falling to the mat.
Oh, Josh landing big uppercuts here while Thong's in on this double. While Esquivel's in on this double.
Man, these two are throwing down here at Fury Fighting Championship 52.
Big exchange there. Josh Thong's best shots have been in from the clinch or from the wrestling exchanges.
Oh!
Spinning back kick from Esquivel lands flush on Thong's head.
My goodness. Sounds like Thong bowed into it.
And this is what I mean. Thong's got a good chin, good composure, and he just stalks. That's how he won his amateur fight. He wanted decision, and it was the pressure that I believe was the great equalizer. Axe kick there from Tanatua.
Yeah, lands right on top of that shoulder of Thong. And Esquivel's got a little bit of everything, doesn't he?
He's leaning though. That's risky. Josh Thong's got some power.
Thong there catching that kick. That's one of his favorite counters, to catch and throw.
And you can see Tanatua's a little more fatigued now. Hands are a little lower, breathing heavier, moving a little slower. Lands a good two-piece. And another one.
Bouncing in and out. Very unorthodox style here by Esquivel.
That Thong just keeps marching forward. Esquivel hits him, doesn't phase Thong at all. He keeps moving forward. Esquivel still with those hands down. Very risky, especially up against the cage when there's not really a place to retreat to.
Good exchange. Both guys land there.
Thong there goes for a spinning back kick, and Esquivel is able to get under him and score a big takedown.
And then a big knee from side control in the body.
That is, man. I know that hurt. Ugh.
I wish I would see more of that from fighters at the pro level, is that knee from the side control. You don't see that enough.
Talk about, he maximized his opportunity with power in that knee. I mean, as soon as they got in position, his whole body reared up and then came down right on the ribs.
Man, I can't wait to see some of the highlights from this flyweight matchup because, man, I mean, these guys just full throttle on the gas pedal this whole round.
Yeah, Esquivel, a very entertaining fighter, if nothing else. But landing those punches, some crazy kicks. This crazy scramble where he comes out on top.
Off the cage.
I mean, and both of these fighters, I mean, if you look at their faces, they both, like, there's not a hint of disconfidence in there. I mean, like, they're still going, looking 100% confident that they're going to take it.
Yeah, you just saw there in Josh Thong's uppercuts there from the clinch. That jumping round kick off of a caught kick. I mean, this is fun.
Yeah. And both guys having a lot of trouble holding the other one down to the ground whenever they get into position, creating these scrambles. This is crazy from cage side.
Round 2 underway. Explosive flyweight matchup between Joshua Thang and Esquivel.
See, Esquivel got the pop back in a step, at least in these opening few seconds. Big round kick. Cartwheel kick, that landed. Not flush, but that would have scored on a CompuStrike. A really heavily chambered side kick, and Josh was able to counter with the right hook over the top.
Man, trying to go for that side kick to the kneecap. I'm very impressed from Esquivel. But Thong will not be denied.
You know what? Thong actually had a really good deep grip under the chin. I thought he was going to go for a guillotine, but he actually got an underhook and just super reversed Esquivel.
Yeah, did that lateral throw down to his back. I think this is the position he wanted to be in. Hasn't worked out well so far for either one of them on the ground.
Curious if Thong is going to back up and let him restart from the center, if he's just going to bide his time and see what opens up in this position.
Yeah, Josh, got to be careful. Tonatu is the kind of guy who would get an up kick knockout. You know, he's got such dynamic kicks and such wiry strength. I'd let him up.
Yeah, he is the longer of the two fighters, so good choice there by Thong.
Good right hand over the top there from Thong as well.
Yeah, Thong doing a great job with that overhand right. Every time Esquivel throws a kick, he either catches it or he takes it and returns with that overhand right.
And you can see Thong's looking for that big hook over the top. You know, usually when you're taller for the weight class, you'll lean out of strikes a lot, and that can just, again, be a recipe for a nasty knockout.
Takedown attempt by Esquivel. Still in position where he can turn the corner and see if he can make something of it.
Esquivel doing a great job with his hand position, making sure that arm didn't get under the chin. But again, not able to hold Thong down.
Big knee there.
That hurt him.
Oh my!
Hurt him.
Joshua Thong with the TKO stoppage.
Huge knees there from Joshua Thong. You immediately saw the facial expressions of Esquivel, and they were bad. Joe Solis did a phenomenal job identifying that and literally tackling Josh off of Tonatiuh.
Wow, Joshua Thong there, winning his pro debut in impressive fashion. Let's take a look at the highlights of that.
This cartwheel kick here from Tonatiuh. I'm curious to see those knees. We heard them and they were loud.
Yeah, that landed right on the floating rib of Tonatiuh.
It sounded like we heard some ribs go in that one. Tonatiuh still laying down here. That was a nasty knee. That was a really good reversal there from Joshua Thong.
And it looked like that was part of his plan. Maybe lift that arm up, throw those knees. He did it earlier with it and just did a lateral throw with it. But in this one, he lifts his arm up again, throws that knee very, very hard into that floating rib.
Here's where we see the beginning of the end. Right there, right on the button.
We may get a little puke shot here. They got a bucket in front of Tonatiuh. He's selecting his standing up.
Man.
Tough kid.
I've been the victim of body shots, and it just takes your soul away from you.
Yeah, when it hurts to breathe, that's a bad deal in MMA.
It's nice to see Tonatiuh not only back up on his feet, but shaking his hands with his opponent. Good sportsmanship. Again, just like last time, I can't wait to see both of these guys fight again, but especially Tonatiuh.
Let's get the official decision from Wayne.
Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Joe Solis calls for a stop to the action. 2 minutes, 14 seconds until round number 2. Declaring your winner by TKO, the fearless Josh Thong.
Beautiful fight, beautiful victory by Thong. Really, really nice. 18 and 19 years old, Alex. These guys have a bright future.
Crazy.
Good job to Joshua Thong. As that leads us up to our next fight of the evening as we have a lightweight bout. Let's take another look real quick at that knee to the body. Boom.
Right in the solar plex.
Yeah, and you could see it immediately on Esquivel's face.
Oh, and then that last one was just right on the liver, right on the right side of Tonatiuh's body. Yikes.
Please welcome to the blue corner, Scotty Juarez.
All right, here we have longtime Houston MMA veteran Scotty Juarez making his way to the cage. Alex Morano, you've been in the scene for a long time and you've seen this man, Scotty Juarez, from a long time ago. Tell us a little bit more about the comeback of Scotty Juarez.
Yeah, when he was fighting, back in, 2010 to 2013, when he was, in the legacy scene, and he was always more technical than I would have expected. He's 2-1, and his one loss is a split decision loss against a guy named Ray Blodgett. For those who don't know him, he's another OG of the Houston MMA scene. And he was a legacy champion, and that loss was a very narrow loss. He's got 2 wins over good guys. It was interesting to see him fight. His last fight was in 2013. I'm curious, what he's been doing and where he's been. And it's fun, it's his old school versus new school. His opponent, Santiago Guzman's on a 3-fight win streak. And this is a fun fight.
If you're curious, the long break, I was able to speak to Scotty Juarez. He said 4 years ago he was diagnosed with testicular cancer.
Oh, wow.
And he was able to overcome that. Got overweight, didn't train for a long time, but and also with the passing of his father, so had to overcome a lot of tragedy in his life. And there we see the man himself. Let's see if he can make this a Cinderella story. Scotty Juarez, ready for action.
Please welcome to the red corner, Santiago Guzman.
And here we have 7-time Fury Fighting Championship vet Santiago Guzman making his way to the cage. Michael Alexander, tell me a little bit about this fighter.
Here we go, Santiago Guzman, the Scorpion King. He's 3-2, fighting out of War Training Center. He has one of those losses, 3-2, but one of those losses by an illegal knee to a downed opponent. So it's not really a loss. It's maybe an accident. He's on a 3-fight win streak, though. It was 3-1 as an amateur. This guy's no joke.
Yeah, and honestly, that was a bad call. He had rocked his opponent, and his opponent had shot him for a double leg as the Scorpion King was throwing the knee. I thought it should have been at worst a no contest. That was a little upsetting to see, but man, he's put his record back on track, 3 wins in a row. And oddly enough, this is actually his second fight at welterweight. He's naturally a 155er, and it was his opponents both times that wanted to go up a weight class because they were having cutting issues. And you can tell Thiago is about it. He chose to accept these fights a full weight class up, and I was actually sparring with him quite a bit. He's ready to go.
There we see the tail of the tape for this welterweight matchup.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest brought to you by GH Mechanical is scheduled for 3 rounds in the Fury FC Welterweight division. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner. This freestyle fighter stands 5 feet, 8 inches tall and weighed in at 167.4 pounds. Fighting out of Houston, Texas, he holds a professional record of 2 victories, 1 defeat. This is Scotty Juarez. And introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner. This mixed martial artist stands 5 feet, 9 inches tall and weighed in at 168 pounds even. Fighting out of Palmira, Colombia, he holds a professional record of 3 victories, 2 defeats, presenting the Scorpion King, Santiago Guzman. Your referee in charge of the action, Jeff Rexroad.
Scotty Juarez, Santiago Guzman. This welterweight matchup is officially underway.
Yeah, you'll see a conventional, almost like boxing style for Juarez here. I wouldn't say a brawler. He's pretty technical. He's very tough. And again, he's better than his physique looks, and I can understand that because I got that for the first 10 years of my fight career. Big punches there from Juarez already. He's patient. And you'll see Thiago switch stances a lot. I'll tell you, he was looking real sharp the last couple weeks we were training.
I think Juarez is going to start off slow in this matchup. His first fight after 8 years. This is the 4th fight of 2021 for Santiago Guzman. That could be a factor.
Yeah, and Scotty Juarez, even though he hasn't fought in 8 years, still only 32 years old. So he's still got some time to make some waves.
He doesn't look rusty at all. Big, good right hand there from Thiago. I got the attention with Scotty for sure.
You got to think, Scotty Juarez has a lot to motivate him coming into this fight.
Man, Scotty's masking and throwing very fluid high kicks. Thiago with the good jab.
Yeah, Scotty Juarez, very flexible still.
Just methodical.
Yeah. Both fighters staying in the pocket.
You heard Thiago's coaches saying to just touch him, throw your combos. The big shot will present itself. Don't force it.
Yeah. Yeah, Santiago creeping into that pocket. As soon as he gets in range, he's throwing punches. Not sitting there, not trying to counter.
Juarez there coming on the offense. Slip is able to recover.
Yeah, Thiago, elected to circle out and let him up.
Good slip there by Juarez as his younger brother, Tony Orozco, working the corner. As he just ate a stiff jab there from, oh my goodness.
Knees.
Now the fight is opened up between these two welterweights.
If you look closely, you can see Scotty Juarez is blinking heavily on his left eye, and Thiago had just landed a beautiful jab and then a knee. I think Scotty's shaking off just a little bit of damage on his eye from those jabs.
That clinch work now from Guzman, landing some big shots with those knees.
And this is where Thiago thrives. He loves a grind. He's in great shape. He's always training. I think the longer this fight goes, the more favorable it is for Thiago.
Can Juarez weather the storm? And he just has more activity over the last year alone. This is his 4th fight of 2021. And whenever you're just more relaxed, the more active that you are.
It looks like one of Thiago's elbows opened up a cut just over the left ear of Scotty Juarez, too.
Now we see a good shot of it. See a little bit of the blood dripping behind the ear.
He's looking to set it up again. You can see Thiago's looking to use his right hand to control Scotty's left wrist. Come right over the top with those elbows.
Juarez is hanging in there, though. Working that tie clinch, pummeling inside, doing a little bit of dirty boxing. He's almost turned around the situation as far as the positioning is concerned.
Really good right hand, short hand off the tie clinch break.
But Guzman just eating up the body.
Yeah, Santiago Guzman staying busy just like his corner is telling him to. Just touching him with those shots in the body and the head.
And he's getting clear, concise, technical advice here from his coaches and Thiago.
Good head movement there by Juarez, narrowly slipping some of those shots, even though his back was against the cage.
Big right hand. I was curious to see if we can see a little more damage over the lead eye, the left eye there of Scotty Juarez, but he actually seems like he's shaking that off.
Good 1-2 right there from Juarez as Santiago was coming in. Just under a minute left between these two fighters.
I do think clinching up and wrestling to finish this round out would be tactically advantageous here for Thiago Guzman.
Looking for the takedown now. Short, choppy counter strikes there from Juarez to stay on his feet.
Thiago went from a single leg to a double leg, back to a single, back to the clinch. Scotty was doing a good job staying active with the strikes there to defend those takedowns. It looks like Thiago has some sort of cut over his own left eye because he's got some blood on his opponent.
And they are throwing down in the last 20 seconds.
Nice head movement from Scotty Juarez. Santiago Guzman coming in, landing punches. But Scotty Juarez continuing to move forward, continuing to throw.
Good timing on that sprawl there from Scotty as well. It was a good shot from Thiago.
First round in the books between these two welterweights. Here we see some of the highlights of the action of the first round. And I agree with you, Alex. I mean, Juarez, very technical, unable to be taken to the ground. Several attempts there from Guzman. Guzman had him in trouble. Curious to see if Juarez has his sea legs underneath him after an 8-year layoff.
I remember talking to Thiago's coach about the Silverback guys and the sons of Silverback guys. You know, they're not really known for their grappling, but their grappling and takedown defense has always been good, even back in the 2010s. You expected them to be like a brawling gym, but you got guys like Jacob Silva who were always excellent grapplers and good wrestlers, and Scotty's a good example of that. And you see Thiago landing that big jab and that huge right knee, and Scotty ate them very well. Looking at him in the corner, he's got the same facial expression. He doesn't look too worse for wear.
Yeah, didn't use a stool.
Okay, round 2.
You can tell Thiago's coaches do not want him brawling with Juarez. They keep asking to stay technical. That's something Thiago can do.
Round 2 underway. Both fighters still look pretty fresh.
Yeah, when this is turning into a brawl, it seems to be that's the way Scotty Juarez wants it to go. He looks a little bit bigger, maybe a little heavier right now at fight time. So maybe leaning on him a little bit. Just definitely not somebody you want to brawl with.
No, he's got a good chin and he's got deceptively fast hands.
Side kick attempt there from Juarez, one of my favorite techniques.
That was a big low kick there from the Scorpion King.
You can hear that all the way from the stands.
And you know, that low kick has more of an investment than people think. Now Thiago can fake that rear knee and come over the top with left-sided strikes like that big left knee, and Scotty will bite on those feints.
Good overhand into the straight right there from Juarez.
Yeah, those leg kicks, the damage from those left kicks are the gift that keeps on giving. The more you land, the more it takes your opponent down. So I'm actually surprised Santiago Guzman has gone away from that and not just because it seems like Scotty Juarez hasn't done anything to check those leg kicks so far.
No, he's not. I'll tell you, Thiago's doing a good job mixing up his range and his tempo, switching his stance, but his hands are a little low. I like to see that guard tighten up as he enters in.
Santiago opting to go where he had most successful in the last round. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, you know, he had a deep underhook and a little knee pick option, but he elected to exit out and throw a big lead right hook on the exit.
Juarez now trying to move forward.
Thiago's doing a good job mitigating damage when he's moving backwards by kind of going with the flow of the punches and then pressuring in when it's a little safer.
Another big knee. Ooh-wee.
But you see, Scotty reacts well and fires right back.
Yeah, Scotty took that knee and then just from a square position threw that cross and landed right on the chin of Guzman. Wasn't able to get a lot behind it because he was square, but
I was coaching Juarez. I would ask him to circle more. He backs himself into the cage a little too much, and that's been advantageous to Santiago throughout this fight. And that could score the rounds and cost him.
Yeah, I agree with you, Todd. And that was fun from Thiago. He threw a spinning back fist into a turning hook. I mean, using his momentum, really diversifying his strikes.
There we go. Elbow on the top. Elbow on the right.
Another big knee from Santiago.
Double unders.
yeah, Santiago using a very tactful approach in this fight. Again, getting sucked into a brawl every once in a while. And then as soon as he takes it in,
this could be a big mistake.
I think Thiago should take advantage of this opportunity. I'll tell you, he's seen that Juarez, he's actually got a win by submission in the third round to a guillotine. And I'll tell you, it's from that deceptive grappling.
Yeah, he did fundamental jiu-jitsu stand-up there, was able to work his way back to his feet doing the base stand-up.
And he's shown good wrist takedown defense.
Oh!
Scotty Juarez continuing to find a place for that jab.
I like that. Juarez now picking up the pace.
Yeah, that's one thing. Juarez, you can see he's being patient. I think he's feeling the fight fatigue a bit because he landed that best combination as Thiago backed away, and he actually didn't follow up. He just kind of looked at him and took a big breath and reset.
Each one right there. I like that, though. Juarez has been very stoic the whole fight, but then just showed a little bit of emotion there. Putting some stink on them punches.
Yeah, I do think Juarez's corner should call to stop throwing that high kick. It's just got no more power behind it, and I'll tell you, they take a lot of energy. That's a sign of fatigue right there. When you're tired and you don't want to move your feet, guys will elect to wrestle with really no intention to finish. And I think we just saw that there in Juarez.
Hey, considering he's had 8 years off, he's actually hanging in there pretty darn good.
Hey, I couldn't agree more.
And I wonder how fighting up for Santiago Guzman has affected him also, because he doesn't look as fresh as he usually does at this point of the fight.
You know, the big combination. That's what Scotty wants. He was literally walking his feet forward, throwing a rear punch every time.
1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. Old school Vitor Belfort.
Thiago dealt with this in his last fight as well. He had a scheduled fight at 155. His experienced opponent was having trouble making weight, and they asked for not even a catch weight, just a new weight class, of which Thiago and his team, the gamers they are, chose to accept. So yes, it's more difficult, but I don't think it's having as big an effect as it could because he's dealt with it just one fight before, and it was actually in this exact arena in this cage.
Yeah,
Round 2 in the books. Here we see some of the highlights from round 2. Alex, how do you score that one?
That was closer than the first round. I see Thiago easily takes the first. Second round, it was close. Honestly, I don't think either camp can be confident they won it.
No, you know what? Juarez had his moments in there. The only thing, though, I think, depending on where the judges are sitting, they might see him being backed up in the cage like that, and they may see something different that we're not. But I would agree with you. Round 2 is definitely a lot more closer than the first. Kind of almost a pick 'em round, and depending on these judges, where they were sitting at, I think that they would probably see something different.
Yeah, those exchanges you see like that, that's where Scotty Juarez is turning this into a brawl. And those exchanges, he's winning.
All right. Here we go, third and final round. Who wants it more between these two welterweights? Can Scotty Juarez make a dramatic comeback after an 8-year layoff?
Yeah, I do know the guys at War, they do a tremendous amount of training naturally, but a lot of sparring, like 10-round sparring. So I know Thiago's felt like this before and has had to push through it.
Can the Scorpion King, Santiago Guzman, have a successful 4th fight of the year?
That was no poke. You can't call timeouts in a fight like that. I mean, it could have been a poke, could have been a punch. The fact that the ref didn't see it, that's risky. That's a risky move to call for
I agree with you. I mean, if Guzman had wanted to, he could have just pressed it and just ended it right there.
Yeah, I mean, really could have.
That happened in one of the previous Furies where one of the fighters basically called a timeout.
You can't do it.
Yeah, and Santiago, I tend to think this was an eye poke because Santiago Guzman is also acknowledging that he's, saying he's sorry to him.
Okay, that's cool.
So let's take a look at the highlight.
Oh,
yeah,
certainly,
right there.
certainly that left hand kind of reaching out on that kick.
That went a knuckle deep into his eye socket.
And they're about to restart it right now.
Good for Thiago. That shows his level of like being a martial artist and acknowledging that and allowing his opponent.
Being a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'll be honest, if that was me, I would have probably tried to punch him.
And I wouldn't blame you.
I think with a tight guard, Thiago's pressure could be the factor to break his opponent this round.
Once again,
right there, Scotty though always has that punch.
Juarez has some great counters. I just hate how he's riding the cage like this.
That had to be part of the game plan. They had to have seen something where they think that he has an advantage being up against the cage like that. He's done it too much and made it too easy for Santiago Guzman to get him in that spot.
Yeah, and he's kicking while moving backwards too. That can be risky just in terms of balancing and losing power.
Takedown attempt.
See, that's what I mean. And again, no knock by any means on Scotty. Taking the 8-year layoff, weight class up with a lot of trials to get through. But he shot that double leg. I don't think with like true intention to finish. And Thiago acknowledged that, dug a deep underhook, which is still riding out on that left side right now, and hit him with a quick reversal. And he had a beautiful leg lace transition into mount.
Yeah, Santiago Guzman did pretty easy transition there. Countered that takedown. Now he's enjoying top position. What can he do with it?
You saw Scotty throwing some elbows. It's always a bad sign for the bottom man when the mounted bottom man's throwing strikes. Yeah. They're not trying to escape. They're just effectively surviving.
Yeah, and unfortunately in this position in MMA, to escape this position, you're going to take a few shots. There's just no way to get out of this position without taking a few shots. The shots that you're throwing from the bottom are not effective. So you just have to decide how you want to get out. You have to shrimp out of that. You're going to take a couple of punches. You just have to be prepared for it.
And I'll tell you, from Scotty's perspective, being mounted in the third round, they're so sweaty. Every time he bridges, he just slides backwards. There's no traction. There's no friction. It makes these escapes so incredibly difficult. And you can see Thiago is really prioritizing positioning over damage, which I think is very smart. And you can see he's picking his time to maybe posture up and punch, but he does not want to get reversed. And he's done a great job defending two reversals thus far.
Yeah, he's just wearing Scotty out. This is taking a lot out of Scotty Juarez. And like I said, when you're on the bottom, you got to use both those hands to push on your opponent, get out. You may take a punch, but you throw him off balance, and hopefully it doesn't connect with you super hard, and the punch isn't clean. But unfortunately, that's the only way to get out of this position.
Yeah, when my guys are on bottom, I will say very deliberately, attack the hips. You have to fight the hips of the person on top.
Oh, old school trapping bridge from Scotty Juarez.
So Thiago's looking for a triangle choke to no prevail.
Can Juarez score with this? Can he answer back?
Thiago needs to hit a quick get up. He needs to get his back up and get up off of his butt. Using that underhook, protecting his neck. Scotty's got a good guillotine. Scotty got a bit of a second win. And I'll tell you, Thiago has a nasty cut right over his left eye. It's right under his eyebrow, just above his eyelid. And I think it was from one of the kicks in the first round, actually. The corners and Cutman have done a great job keeping it from bleeding. I think Thiago knows he's got this in the bag, so long as he doesn't get caught with anything wacky.
Guzman now looking for another takedown.
When you know a takedown can win a fight, you're going to finish it. Thiago did a good job connecting his hands and scooting the hips out of Scotty. Scotty has a notoriously good third round guillotine though, and so long as Thiago can keep control of Scotty's lower half, he can limit the bridging power. It's very important that he finishes on that right side inside control.
Yeah.
Juarez has a third round guillotine victory over Eric Valdez, but that was back in 2013.
Again, Thiago needs to just not allow Scotty's legs to get in the mix. And I think Thiago knows that. He's kind of riding him out. If Scotty wants to finish this, he's got to reload his hips. He's got to really lift up on that front headlock and get his hips out.
Yeah, he needs to crawl up the cage. He needs to get reestablished in a stance that's over the top of Santiago Guzman, and now he's out.
Short time left. Can he land something big?
10 seconds. Thiago got to get that guard up.
Oh.
Scotty with a jumping switch kick, a little short. Time. What a battle. What a great fight from both of these guys.
Scotty Juarez and Santiago Guzman go the distance. What a war between these two. Man, they left it all in the cage. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from that third and final round.
Nice little three-punch combo from Thiago. Good level change to a left hand, right to a body kick. I mean, good diversity in his strikes.
Probably the biggest mistake of this fight was probably, for Juarez, was probably that lunging takedown attempt right there.
Yeah, defended well against Thiago. I mean, that was a beautiful leg straight to the mount. Great transition work.
But you can't deny the heart from the veteran Scotty Juarez, able to switch up the position. That was impressive.
I'd be curious to see Thiago's eye, too. That cut, thankfully, was not very big, but it was in one of the worst spots it could have been in.
A lot of credit to Santiago Guzman. Stepping up in weight, that's never an easy task. Taking on the bigger opponents and scoring big in the final seconds with that double leg lift there on the bigger fighter.
Yeah, I mean, that takedown effectively secured the third round, which I do believe secured the fight for Thiago. I believe they're going to call either a 30-27 or 29-28 for the Scorpion King.
And there we see Juarez having a little fun out there. Let's see the final decision from Wayne.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of combat, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. Judge Kelly Isaac scores the fight 30-27 for Santiago Guzman. Judge Robin Williams scores the fight 29-28 for Scotty Juarez. And Judge Patrick Petlon scores the fight 29-28, declaring your winner by split decision, the Scorpion King, Santiago Guzman.
You know, great fight there from Scotty Juarez. I do believe that was Santiago Guzman's fight very clearly and thoroughly. I'm glad they got that one right.
Congratulations to Santiago Guzman, scoring his 4th professional victory here tonight over a very game veteran after a long 8-year layoff in Scotty Juarez. We'll be seeing both of these fighters in future Fury Fighting Championships.
Yeah, I hope you get to see Scotty here soon, maybe at 155 with a full fight camp. That'd be nice to see.
Please welcome to the blue corner, Jonathan Island.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna be our final fight on our prelims on Facebook. Be sure to join us on UFC Fight Pass at 4:30 as we await the arrival to the cage of Jonathan Island. Michael Alexander, tell us a little bit about this fighter.
Yeah, Jonathan Island has a record of 4-3. Started out 4-0, has coming off 3 straight losses, but every one of those losses have been just an absolute brawl. Been very, very close fights. He was 6-2 as an amateur. He's a very, very strong guy inside the cage.
Yeah, he's about as big as you'll see a 135er get. And, you know, he went 4-0 to start and then 0-3. But I'll tell you, his 3 losses have been against all very high-level competition. One guy you'll actually see on the main card in Josh Walker, and that was a fantastic fight. Island is, his record's not bad, but he's even better than his record shows. He's 7-2 as an amateur. And all of his wins and losses that were finishes as pros actually came by submission. So the guy's, you know, he's got good offense on the ground. He's got some holes on the ground as well. And his opponent, he's actually coming off a bit of a layoff himself. But Manny Lazoya, he's been in the Houston scene for a long, long time. I've been looking forward to seeing him fight again as well.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. As far as Island, I mean, we called this last fight here at Fury Fighting Championship. It was in this building. And I agree with you. His record does not do him justice, but hopefully he can get himself back on the winning side of things tonight. As we see the final touches for Jonathan Island. A lot of experience as an amateur, 9 amateur fights, winning 7 of them.
Yeah, and you can see he's just got such a big frame and very muscular. You know, some guys you'll see really tall, you know, so they're tall for the weight class, but he's tall and muscular. I mean, I was surprised to see he was a 35er last time he fought.
Yeah, he looks like a 155er from here.
Yeah, he sure does.
Very, very big frame, carries a lot of muscle.
And right there, you see the referee doing the final touches. They're looking to cut off some of the extra hand wrap that Island has. That way it doesn't accidentally poke somebody in the eye or get in the way of the bout. So in case at home you're curious as to some of those things that they take a look for. They take a look for grease. Make sure everyone has all the equipment they need. And there we see Jonathan Island ready for action.
Please welcome to the red corner, Manny Lazoya.
And here we have a very experienced fighter making his 7th Fury Fighting Championship appearance, Manny Lazoya. Alex Morano, tell us a little bit about this fighter.
Yeah, Manny Lazoya, been in the game a long time. I'm surprised we haven't seen him fight more recently, especially with, you know, the recent boom of Fury. You know, he was 9-3 as an amateur, really tough amateur competition. He's 3-0 as a pro. He's got a win over Shaquem Richardson, who's fighting for the TMF belt. And his last fight was in 2018, so, you know, we're over 3 years off. And I was always curious because I knew he was young, he was an athlete. He's got such a strong team in the Metro Fight Club behind him. You can even see in his corner. And I'm just happy to see him back in the cage. And honestly, off of a layoff, this is not an easy task in fighting Jonathan Island.
There we see the tail of the tape, 37 years of age, Jonathan Island, the senior, going against 32-year-old Manny Lazoya, both coming in at the bantamweight limit, 5'8" even, slight reach advantage for Jonathan Island at 69.5.
You see in Manny's corner, you got Adrian Yanez, who'll be fighting Davey Grant here in the UFC. Adrian Yanez is 3-0 in the UFC, 3 knockouts, 3 bonuses. You literally can't do any better than he's done for his first contract. And then you got Cameron Smotherman in his corner. And if you guys didn't see his last fight in Fury, it's the best one-round fight you will ever see in your life. He gets hit early, he comes back, knocks his guy out. That whole team is just, they got fireworks written all over him.
And the return of Manny Lazoya, ready for action.
Ladies and gentlemen, the following contest, brought to you by Space City Collective, is scheduled for 3 rounds in the Fury FC Bantamweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. This kickboxer and BJJ specialist stands 5 feet, 8 inches tall and weighed in at 135.6 pounds. Fighting out of New Orleans, Louisiana, by way of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, he holds a professional record of 4 victories, 3 defeats. This is Jonathan Island. And introducing his opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner. This mixed martial artist stands 5 feet, 8 inches tall and weighed in at 135.6 pounds. Fighting out of Houston, Texas, he holds a perfect professional record of 3 victories, no defeats. This is Manny Lazoya. Your referee in charge of the action, Professor Joe Solis.
Manny Lazoya, a crowd favorite here in Houston, Texas.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, he's always had a crowd, even when he was an amateur 10 years ago.
Jonathan Island, Manny Lazoya. This bantamweight matchup is officially underway.
Oh, these guys are getting after it insta-quick.
Big takedown by Lazoya to open things up. Man, both of these guys are ripped.
Yeah, they're huge 35ers, both of them.
Definitely got the look of a fighter.
Yeah, both these guys look like Roman gladiators. Both chiseled, both look like they eat chicken and rice only and drink water, and that's it.
I gotta eat me some more chicken and rice.
Yeah. I had some Fruity Pebbles ice cream last night. I suggest it to each one of you. On December 5th, Alex, you can have Fruity Pebbles ice cream.
Manny Lazoya working his way up. See if he can drag Island back down, but the defense of Island keeping himself back to his feet.
Yeah, Jonathan Island in his last fight fought Josh Walker, who's a very decorated wrestler. And now, granted, he did get out-grappled, but by a narrow margin, and was able to keep it very competitive. I knew he would not be an easy man to out-grapple. Manny Lazoya, though, very explosive. And again, you saw both guys just exchanging as soon as the fight started. I'd really like to see him break apart so we can see a little more exchange work, but I mean, you can see both guys working hard from the clinch here.
Yeah, this is one of those fights where neither one of the guys really want to exchange with the other one. They don't want to get hit by the other one. No. Both these guys have a lot of respect for each other's stand-up.
You know, even when Manny was an amateur, he was just known for his physical prowess. And, you know, one of my guys, Ricky Tercios, he just won the Ultimate Fighter. He was a 35er when Manny was an amateur, and I always thought they'd get matched up, so I always watched Manny's fights. They never did, you know, kind of thankfully so now in hindsight. But Manny's a beast. I've always kept my eye on him.
Yeah, Manny lists himself at 5'8", and so does Jonathan Island. I may challenge that.
Yeah.
Lazoya working hard for that body clinch, seeing if he can score some from that. Referee, black belt Joe Solis, is going to let them continue on with that fight. They break apart.
That was a hard low kick from Manny, but the range is a little off, and his foot, he kind of hit the knee of Island, and that can hurt your foot. That can challenge mobility. See, now that was a well-placed low kick there from Island.
Both fighters trying to exchange low kicks.
Yeah, Manny Lazoya's got to be careful when he throws that low kick. He throws his hands straight to the floor.
Man, that bent the knee of Island.
Man, both guys are just hammering out that lead leg.
Man, I'd love for them to break out like old school Van Damme Bloodsport, just kick for kick.
Yeah.
Bring it.
Both guys being very patient.
Oh, check hook narrowly missed there.
See that low kick? That was a calf kick right there, just below the knee, right on that muscle on the left side of Island's lead calf there. Those man, they feel weird.
Guys got to be careful with that. I always say that there's just as much potential to hurt yourself and bust your shin bone up.
I mean, like, we've seen it worse. Break your shin bone. You know, that's a bone you do not want to break.
Now, we've seen it a lot in the last few years, especially with Chris Weidman and most recently Conor McGregor throwing that exact kick.
Man, the story of the first round are these leg kicks.
Yeah, and those just zap the energy right out of your legs. You take the spring out of your legs, it makes you a little more grounded in your foundation, and it just makes you more of a sitting target.
Yeah.
Man, Manny Lazoya looking like Jose Altuve there, just swinging away. He's really going for it with those kicks.
You know, even if they throw a jab or a feint before these kicks, you'd have a slightly better chance of landing.
Did Island switch stance there for a moment? Switch to southpaw to maybe give his leg a break.
Yeah, man. I mean,
if he's smart, he would.
You know, their lead leg quad's going to be beat up, and their rear leg foot's going to be beat up from the offense, and then the quad from the getting hit. You know, this is a taxing fight on the legs for both guys.
Interesting to see how that's going to pan out as the fight wanes on. Another low kick from Lazoya.
Yeah, for Manny Lazoya, if you were to draw a fighter stance, that's exactly what you would draw right there. Perfect fighter stance. Jonathan Island, not bad. Hands just a little bit low.
Good jab there from Lozoya.
Right down the pipe. Man, Island is feeling those kicks. I mean, he definitely switched up, but give his leg a break there a little bit.
It's a big low kick from Island.
Yeah, and then throws one of his own.
So what happens on these calf kicks is there's a nerve that gets attacked, and it actually shuts off its signaling to the brain, so you get something called drop foot, where your foot literally just drags behind your ankle. It's a weird kind of phenomenon in terms of attacking the nerves. And man, both guys are just putting in some work on those legs.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights from round 1. We saw Lozoya open up with that takedown attempt, and I'm sure we're going to see a bunch of leg kick highlights in this highlight.
Yeah, you saw that leg kick from Lozoya there, where it just touched on the end of his toes, right on the end of the knee. And you can see it staggered in just a little bit.
That's a good one right there.
And both fighters scoring big.
Yeah, and each fighter has picked 2 spots. They're going for that calf kick, and then they're going for that quad, hamstring, whatever it is. It's right behind that knee, whichever that connection point is.
So how do you guys score that round? I mean, that's as even as a round gets, right?
Man,
I'd give a, oh man.
That's a tough one.
I'd probably give a slight advantage just to Lozoya just because of the takedown. But
yeah,
other than that, man, it's been almost 1 for 1.
Yeah, low kick for low kick, you know.
Interesting story from these two. Let's see how it pans out in round number 2.
That big overhand right that Manuel Lozoya
360
loves.
right hand. Oh, see, that was a really well checked low kick.
And Manuel Lozoya, he'll keep throwing that overhand right, and then eventually he'll throw that overhand right and feint with it, and then go in for the takedown. It's what he did earlier to be able to get that takedown earlier on Jonathan Island.
Yeah, and then Todd, you called it. Island did switch his stance this time. Standing southpaw now. And he's less offensive. And that's what you were saying earlier, Todd. You can tell a guy's natural stance when they start to get hit, they'll switch back.
Yeah, and as soon as he switched back to a conventional stance, Lozoya's
yeah, it's his leg. It's his leg.
Up again, yeah.
You know, and honestly, man, he's maybe even eating more low kicks than Island, and Island seems to be dealing with it worse.
Island making a good choice there. Opting to go for the takedown, because eating too many of those kicks, I think he's obviously feeling it.
Really good takedown defense from Lozoya there. He needs to get his back on that cage and try to eliminate Island's left hook there.
Yeah, and while he's doing that, he needs to keep his hip up against the cage, making sure that Jonathan Island cannot take his back from that position. Although we saw it earlier from Andrew Slater taking somebody's back while they were up against the cage.
Yeah, so man, you can see him with the 2-on-1 grip. He's trying to separate the grip of Island so he can turn in, but Island getting that 2-on-1 leg hook there, it stops Manny from getting his back on the cage. It stops him from squaring up.
Yeah, Jonathan Island, if he wants to finish this, needs to extend his left leg out and kind of push between and get that foot off the floor. Manny Lozoya's left foot needs to come off the floor. He's doing it a little bit right now.
Yeah, one thing that we look a lot from that body lock is to scoop the leg out for trips.
Yep.
But no, that was a really good fight. It was good decision-making from Island. He was able to expose an angle enough on the rear side of Lozoya and actually just hit that standing kind of jumping back take. We saw that in the Slater fight in our opening bout of tonight's fights.
Jonathan Island, the human backpack right now. Can he score something big from this position?
Yeah, he's a little bit low on his back, which is going to keep him from choking. Anytime that elbow is higher than your shoulder, it's really difficult to get a lot of strength into those chokes.
Yeah, good defense there from Lozoya.
That was nicely done.
Oh, good right hand. That's the best punch so far. And a good right hand from Island that rocks Lozoya. We have a fight on our hands, gentlemen.
Yeah, they are throwing down here at Fury FC 52.
Man, just when it looked like Lozoya was going to take over this fight, he took one. Kind of brought him back to reality there for a second.
And it hit him hard, but he just comes back with a jab. Oh, that was a good low kick there from Island.
Ooh.
Man, I feel for Manny's right foot tomorrow.
Yeah. I'd be shocked if we don't see that one swell up here in just a minute.
It's a good right hand there for Manny as well. Island kind of ducked the top of his head right into it.
There goes Jonathan Island switching that stance again, trying to hide that lead leg. So Manny Lozoya says, I'll just kick that one too.
Oh, big elbows there from Manny Lazoya.
Yeah, big elbows.
And uppercuts. Oh man, he is making Island pay for taking that shot, and Island elects to just give up top position.
Yeah, Manny Lazoya does not want this to go to the ground with him on the bottom.
Front headlock now. Can he turn it into a guillotine?
He's got good placement. He took his hands apart though. Island was hand fighting.
Minute left. Plenty of time to work for Manny Lazoya.
He's got that bottom hook in, but Jonathan Island's doing a good job of that 2-on-1 with that inside hand.
Oh, it looks like those elbows must have cut Island's head somewhere because we're seeing all sorts of blood on the cage. Big knee to the body from Lazoya.
Yeah, good positioning by Jonathan Island.
Drag down attempt. Island stays on his feet.
Again, so strong from that position, Alex, like you talked about earlier. Jonathan Island, not an easy guy to take down.
No. And Manny, talk about capitalizing on an opportunity to do some damage. And that really turned the tide, in my opinion, not only for this round, but maybe for the fight. And Manny landed some huge elbows and uppercuts while Island was on that double. And you know, they say this in wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and especially in MMA, you cannot stay on your knees to finish a takedown, especially when those elbows can be a consequence.
Short time left.
Notice right there, Manny changed levels hard to his knees, but instantly stood up to rip Island's hips off the cage and down to the mat.
Oh,
here we go.
Man.
Wow.
Too little, too late.
I'm curious to see where that blood's coming from.
I think it's coming from his ear, around his ear.
What a round. I mean, that's a Manny round.
Take a look at some of the highlights from that round.
I'd like to see Island's right hand that had staggered Lazoya for just a moment.
Yeah, he took one, then he gave one almost immediately right after. Jonathan Island doing a good job of taking the back there. Not able to capitalize on it.
Just right over the top.
Yeah, right behind the ear.
Lazoya reacted to that as well as anyone could have. Didn't really show any sign of damage and just got right back to the offense. I can't believe Manny's feet aren't more banged up.
Man, right now, in the heat of it, not going to see it, but as you said, tomorrow is going to be interesting. Here we go, third and final round between these two bantamweights. Who wants it more?
Man, Manny Lazoya is ready to come out and get this third round started.
Good jab there from Manny. And Jonathan Island, you know, not being from Houston, is fighting in Fury. He's getting some tough fights. Big right hand from Manny.
Lazoya doesn't look like a guy that's coming off of a 3-year layoff.
No, he does not. He's doing good work with that jab. You can see some reddening on the nose of Island from those jabs of Lazoya.
Big overhand right from Lazoya. And again, each one of these guys trading leg kicks again.
Big left hook there from Manny.
Manny Lazoya doing some damage from about the middle of that second round on, dominating this fight.
That was beautiful. Manny throwing that jab. Island finally slips a jab to the outside, and then Manny throws that left kick to counter that slip. I mean, that's good martial arts right there.
Jonathan Island really reluctant to move forward with that leg forward. He's bouncing that leg up and down to try to make sure that it's not hard on the mat when he takes one of those leg kicks.
Man, Manny's really touching up Island with his jab.
Lazoya's a stud, just plows through with all of his strikes.
And this has been a very heavy pace on the feet and in the clinch. And both guys seem very fresh.
Yeah, both guys, for carrying so much muscle, both guys are really, really fresh this deep into the third round.
I'm curious to see where that spinning back fist landed. I think it hit Island in the body.
Island is all heart.
Island's best moments is when he's coming forward. I mean, he's got the right idea here with this pressure.
Eating a stiff jab there.
Jonathan Island still throwing hard, still landing. This late in the fight, has to know he's down.
You hear Manny Lazoya's corner calling for a 1-2. And I think that's wise because that jab's meeting its mark.
Wow, dropping levels. Goes right into the takedown. Good shot there by Lozoya.
You can see Island, he looks like he was maybe thinking about a guillotine, but they're so sweaty, and Manny Lozoya's head just popped right out.
Yeah, and Jonathan Island fancies himself a jiu-jitsu player from the bottom. Not afraid to be on the bottom from this position, according to him. Let's see if he's able to do something with it.
Yeah, you know what, 2 minutes, you know, with any high-level grappler, it's going to be hard to catch him in guard, and they're just so sweaty and fatigued. I mean, this is really worst-case scenario in terms of looking for subs off your back. Oh, Island threw up a triangle, but again, Manny's just such a physical specimen, kind of was able to drive his arm right back to the inside.
Just under 2 minutes left in this bantamweight matchup.
You see Manny's looking to pin Island's head against the cage and really just limit his mobility and jam up his hips. And that allows Manny to kind of posture up with his own hips and maybe land some shots.
And he's doing that so far. Jonathan Island's got 1 foot in the hip, and he wants to create some distance here. He's got to get away from that cage, especially with his head up on the cage. It's not a favorable position for the guy from the bottom.
And see, it looks like Manny may be trying to set up a wrist ride. See if Manny can't get his left hand behind Island's back end on the wrist.
Oh, one hook in. Can he get the other one?
Needs to be patient here.
So he's got a wrist right on the opposite side now. Lets it go and goes back to his seatbelt grip.
Yeah, maybe needs to pass out some damage here. Throw some punches from this position and kind of loosen him up, open him up a little bit.
And Manny was able to hit some really strong ground and pound with his elbows and hammer fists earlier. Let's see if he can't go back to that with 1 minute left in this third and final round of a very entertaining fight.
Very technically sound fight, as you're saying. Under the chin, can he get it? With just under a minute left, can Manny Lozoya score big?
Very, very close.
Oh, right and high a little bit. Island takes advantage.
Manny's smart to bail on the one hook he had while slipping and stand back up and plant his feet. Now he's actually in a pretty good spot to defend this potential takedown.
Yeah, it looked like Jonathan Island was going to do a hip toss there. Thought better of it.
Oh, it's a good knee from Island. Not enough, though.
Here we go.
20 seconds.
Last 15 seconds of the fight.
See these guys brawl it out to close out this fight. Takedown. It scores big for Lozoya.
Really good drive there from Manny.
Man, what a stud. Jonathan Island and Manny Lozoya go the distance.
What a fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's a battle. You know, one of the toughest things about MMA is, you know, whoever loses this fight, you know, it was a great fight, but man, they're going to be all busted up.
Take a look at some of the
That's
highlights
tough.
from the third and final round. And there you hear the crowd behind their man. Some of these highlights we see scoring big.
No one can say Jonathan Island hasn't earned his keep here in Fury, man. He's had some super tough fights against some really tough prospects.
Kicked his career off at 4-0 and then just ran into just a lot of talented competition for a talented fighter himself. That looked like it grazed a little bit there, Alex. You're talking about this.
The back fist hit the forearms of Island.
That was really close to a finish there in the third round with about a minute left.
Look at how he just drives through.
Almost a textbook MMA double leg takedown.
Man, both of these fighters, man, just so chiseled. 37-year-old Island, 32-year-old Lozoya. Let's see the official decision from Wayne.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of combat, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. The scores of 30-27, 30-27, and 30-26. Your winner by unanimous decision, Manny Lozoya!
Good win there for Manny Lozoya. Can't believe they gave a 10-8 round, but hey, man, he won that fight, every aspect.
Congratulations to Manny Lozoya. Those of you watching on Facebook, be sure to join us on UFC Fight Pass at 4:30. Alright guys, join us on UFC Fight Pass at 4:30 for our main card, where we see the TMF title up for grabs.